Yeah, I mean, it's been so fun, like, putting this group together. Like, obviously, you know, once we get into the real heat of battle, like, that's where, you know, those relationships are really going to show, of like how we stick together. And, you know, there's be highs, there's be lows, but so far, like, it's just been amazing.
What happens when Caitlin Clark steps in as a peacemaker during a WNBA game that devolves into body slams on par with those in the WWE? Sophie Cunningham had yet another crazy day. She was hit so severely that the referees required rehabilitation. Caitlin Clark, however, did not simply remain. She arrived as the perfect teammate. Additionally, this game served as Sophie's essentially fast and furious 11. Elbow audition when she declared she was prepared to fight for her squad. It was a memorable battle that combined chaos, bravery, and teamwork.
Oh my God, Sophie's a dog. She just is, she's a competitor. She's versatile, so she allows us to do different things. Like, she plays with such a toughness. You know, she's huge, and she's going to be for us all season long. But what she brings from an energy standpoint, she raises the level of play of everybody around her as soon as she steps foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline. I mean, her communication, everything. You know, she's definitely
like a cooperative endeavor. The Washington Mystics transformed the court into a chaotic field scenario where everyone's strategy is to play dirty and hope for fouls. They thought no one would notice, so they traded basketballs for brass knuckles on this historic day in basketball history. However, everyone, including Sophie Cunningham, who had to body check her way out like she was in a WWE crossover, saw through the theatrics. Nobody would ever forget the crazy, fierce battle.
The Fever should be allowed to just be hit and thrown to the ground or any of those things. She meant to shove her. There's no question. It was a non-basketball play, okay? That is clear. It was not within the realm of basketball. It was a shove. She was frustrated. She was upset. Or in the moment.
And who was there to provide steadfast support in the midst of all that chaos? The newest queen of calm in basketball is Caitlin Clark. Ice in her veins, a highlight reel, firmly supported Sophie Cunningham. She wasn't merely mouthing encouraging words or applauding from the sidelines. She showed
5 years, people that have been in the league, you know, 10 plus years, and having that balance, I think, is really going to help us. And especially like having won and been around a lot of really good players, and she uses her voice a lot, but everybody really listens to her. So yeah, I think it's the perfect combo of people, and everybody's just really
With phony blood and even more bogus tactics, the Mystics came into this game as if they were the main characters in a low-budget Gladiator remake. Elbows flew with Olympic-level accuracy, and passes appeared optional, as though safety procedures didn't exist. Their luggage, dignity, and sportsmanship were left at the airport. It resembled a street fight with a scoreboard more than a basketball contest. A fresh little altercation broke out each time the referee blinked. Instead of jostling for playoff seats, you would think they were squabbling over the final piece of pizza at a family get-together. There was constant turmoil, and they managed to flourish in this untamed, damaging environment.
Show the Fever a little something. But at the same time, that's not that out of the ordinary for my basketball watching life or even playing life, where people fight for possession, somebody shoves the other person, and that's it. As long as the game is called appropriately and it doesn't get out of hand. Same thing with the Iriafen Cunningham thing. They're fighting for the ball. Iriafen loses it a bit, throws it to the floor. She got called for the foul. It is what it is, then you move on. So I just didn't see this as like some sort of bounty targeting, and that's what I mean by the egregious, I guess is a better word. Did she mean to shove her? Absolutely. Okay, guys? Absolutely meant to shove her. You can think of that what you want. You can process that what you want. I understand.
Sophie Cunningham, who appears to play linebacker when she's not making corner threes, ended up in the midst of a friendly altercation that resembled a Survivor Elbow Island tryout. Everywhere, arms, shoulders, even regrets and dreams, the Mystics flung fouls. They were essentially creating new methods of fouling, you name it. At one point, it appeared as though the officials were giving away automobiles as Oprah does. You're given a foul. You're given a foul. Everybody receives a foul. What ought to have been a game descended into a wild free-for-all due to the unrelenting turmoil on the court.
We got to give some props to Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham. Man, she is stunning to look at, but her game was stunning tonight. She was balling out.
Cunningham, meantime, was sidestepping trouble like a nightclub bouncer while avoiding elbows, obviously fighting for her life. She could easily enter a WWE bout and fit in with all the body smashes and suplexes taking place on the court if she weren't a basketball player. Then, suddenly, the time had come. Sophie becomes entangled with two Mystics players who attempt to fold her up like a lawn chair instead of paying attention to the ball. And the referees, uncertain of how to respond to the mayhem in front of them, were presumably preoccupied with trying to spell flagrant while gazing blankly at the Jumbotron.
And we don't want to see her targeted. I mean, that's weird. Sophie Cunningham says we have a target on our back. What she means by that to me isn't just like somebody's coming to physically hit me, but it's both. It's we're the team that we're saying now, we're the team everybody's talking about. We're the team other teams want to prove something against. Sometimes that can go a little bit too far. Obviously, you don't want to see that happen with Caitlin Clark, but that's the overarching point where you've got vets there. You've got tough players there who aren't going to allow that to happen.
Caitlin Clark, who has always been a reliable teammate, rushes over with an even more forceful calmness. Not with fists, because this isn't hockey. Grace and composure. Her inner monologue is nearly audible. Is this what you call defense? Really? She looks Sophie in the eye and says, "I've got your back." It's the same look you give a buddy at breakfast when someone makes fun of her attire, prepared to respond angrily. Caitlin, who is always prepared with media, supports Sophie in this game with a calm declaration that makes it apparent. Next game, I'll drop 40 points on you if you test me. Her enthusiasm was evident even if she didn't state outright that she saw Sophie get mauled like a bargain rack cardigan during a Black Friday sale. Let's verify the record first, though.
It's just kind of who I am. I want to pour into my team as much as possible, and I'm pretty in tune with my body. I can read a room pretty well, and so when I see we're lacking a little bit, you got to step up. But if we're good, you're just there to encourage and give people.
Let's now relive a memorable Sophie moment. No, not today, Circa. When Sika says, "You want to play physical cool, let's dance." She's smiling like a cat in a canary cage. This is a sarcastic way of saying, "I'll send you flying into next week and make it look accidental." If you're wondering if this game was dirty, let's be honest, it was more like a demolition derby in jerseys. Every time the Mystics advanced, it appeared as though they were playing full connect dodgeball with invisible balls. Yes, the Mystics may have started it, but Sophie didn't exactly respond with an apology or hesitation. Screens turned into schvies, drives were like simulations of landmines. Compared to a clearance shoe sale, there was greater pushing in the paint. Chaotic, violent, and completely unrepentant.
Listen, Carver Hawkeye is one of the best environments I've ever been in, let's be honest. But watching Caitlin Clark just show her team how good Carver can be was amazing. The environment was insane. But besides the 36-foot shot she made, which I do have a clip of that, I'll post it. It's amazing, obviously. Broke her own dang record and looked so...
Sophie answered in the best way she knows how, with righteous outrage and just enough snark to make her foul appear almost virtuous, despite the fact that it was obvious she had a target on her back when she came at the arena. She was the only player who was prepared to use her body language to convey the message. Do you want to smoke this? But it wasn't the pushing or the violence that stood out in her answer. She reacted like Wei when the Mystics attempted to surprise her, acting as though they were trying to audition for the Real Housewives of Elbow County. She didn't fail. She refrained from crying. Rather, she maintained her position, grinned, and gave off a solemn, "I'll pray for you."
They are already now attacking Sophie Cunningham. Oh, they're mad. The MAGA Barbies got them angry. They're cheering on violence against this basketball player. Sophie Cunningham just got through by a rookie. And here we go.
Shot too strong there from Olsen. Cunningham pulls down and use that feistiness.
There you go.
She is fierce in the game. And I know it wasn't announced that Caitlin Clark wouldn't play until right before. But this is a preseason game where Clark is not a...
Meanwhile, the Mystics proceeded to redefine defense as aggressively misinterpreting the rules. Their plan was more about bumping into rivals and hoping the whistle was blown than it was about strategy. To be honest, it appeared as though their coach gave them a WWE SmackDown Basketball Edition playbook. Fortunately for the referees, they did not witness anything. We could have had to submit a missing persons report for the rulebook if there had been any additional missed calls. Don't get it wrong, though. Sophie wasn't looking for pity. She was attempting to win symbolic blood, perhaps even a bit literal. Nevertheless, she maintained her position with unwavering poise. She never gave the Mystics the pleasure of rattling her. Her calm, unflinching presence instead made her opponent's attempt seem pointless, which was much more frustrating. It would be impossible to discuss Sophie without bringing up her most memorable interviews, in which she blatantly declares, "I don't start fights, but I definitely finish them," solidifying her character as a tough and uncompromising individual. Sophie has always been extremely forthright, whether it's at press conferences after games or in staged scenes where she jokingly threatens to outwork everyone in the stadium. Pushing her around and expecting a thank you message is not acceptable. Another video shows Sophie grinning confidently during an interview and declaring, "Physicality doesn't bother me. It gives me energy." Just reading that quote makes you question if a charging bull is her sole animal. She thrives on the hustle, the commotion, and the scrap. She is the enforcer and the player who does best under pressure. Sophie will undoubtedly be at the center of any altercation or bump, appearing to be having a great time. When credit is due, let's give it. A typical WNBA game was transformed into what seemed like an off-action film by the Mystics. The issue is that they failed to remember that they weren't the heroes. Sophie dominated them rather than merely surviving their ongoing antics. Undisturbed, unconcerned, and unrelenting, she emerged from the turmoil like a queen trudging through a mosh pit while wearing heels. Oh, the fans noticed too. Social media exploded like a tortilla in the microwave. Casual viewers and diehard WNBA fans alike flooded timelines with inquiries such, "Did the Mystics mistake Sophie for a tackling dummy?" Additionally, Caitlin Clark appears prepared to phone her attorney. The best memes. Oscar-worthy slow-motion replays.
Enter Sophie Cunningham. She was the lead scorer of the entire game for both teams.
Sophie is more than just a player. She's a whole vibe, and the Mystics had to acknowledge that somewhere between the third elbow and the fifth missed call. Furthermore, you cannot upset a vibe that has the power to knock you down and drain a three-point shot over your head. Let's also discuss how ridiculous the Mystics' post-game remarks were. They would be MVPs if smugness were a statistic. Only oblique references to toughness and competitive spirit, basically code for "we fouled and got exposed," instead of any indication of accountability. Sophie is casually lacing her shoe over there in the meantime. Is that all you have, for example? This is the next step. The Mystics will require more than just body checks and malicious intent when they next confront Sophie and Caitlin. This isn't simply another game.
I gotta say, it is so evident when Caitlin Clark is not on the court for the Indiana Fever. She is such a floor general. She is the X factor for the Indiana Fever. She leads the way when they don't have her. I've said this before, but the Indiana Fever look like a...
The finest part is that the supporters are totally committed. With intense care, every play, dribble, and wild off-the-backboard shot is examined. They're not just watching, they're eagerly awaiting the next jaw-dropping moment. Popcorn is flying. There is very likely a medical team on standby, and Team Sophie banners are flying high. Since these games have evolved into full-contact conflicts, let's face it, basketball is no longer the only thing at stake. This is the District Edition of Fight Club. The Mystics will require more than body checks and derogatory remarks the next time they take the court against Sophie and Caitlin. Since Sophie and Caitlin are going in hot and aren't here to play nice, they'll need to bring some serious game. The Mystics believed they could withstand the heat in the grand tradition of "try me and see what happens." Instead, rather of terrifying the dynamic combo, they look like they were trying to sell a magic performance that fell flat. It resembles a dance-off in which one team enters the stage with assurance only to discover midway through that they have forgotten every move.
Here we go. Need Kiki to whack her again. Guys, it's where we're at. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Right there, you can see Sophie telling her after that flagrant, "You don't mother effing do that. You don't mother effing do that."
They begin pushing one another, knocking into everyone in their path, and making a complete show of themselves rather than politely owning up to their mistakes. that essentially encapsulates the Mystics. They weren't just defeated. They were exposed for failing to grasp even the most fundamental concepts. They seem to have worn costumes to a performance but neglected to practice. Now, they resemble the awkward female group that can't recall which road to fate they tried, rather than the menacing force they had in mind. Unfortunately, when it comes to the actual deal, attempting isn't always enough. Someone should be ready for the flames the next time they want to turn up the heat. Sophie Cunningham is not content to sit back and let the flames burn her. She's firing back with both barrels blazing, though. By drawing a line in the sand and establishing the precedent for what happens when someone pushes her boundaries, she is doing more than just defending herself. The Mystics may have believed they could manage the task, but they discovered the hard way that Sophie is unstoppable once she starts going.
Icy Sophie Cunningham, you could call her, because she was out there. She was feisty, she was fiery, and all that. Huge target on our backs. Obviously, the Fever, the most hyped team, the most talked about team, and now a team that has some protection within, right? Some support within, some toughness within, which bodes well for once Caitlin Clark is back on the floor, because you're now surrounding her with the talent. Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston were there before, but the toughness as well.
As well as Caitlin Clark. She is, in fact, the ideal silent companion. She doesn't have to put on a big show. Like a professional assassin, she is silently supporting Sophie. Imagine her as a sniper waiting for the ideal opportunity to attack, skulking from a distance with perfect aim. Her accurate jump shot speaks for itself. Play around and see. It's impossible to approach Sophie without getting hot, and Caitlin has the evidence to support it. They're establishing the bar, not simply playing. Watch the highlight reel to get a sense of what happens when you put them to the test. You'll wonder why you ever believed testing these two was a smart idea. The scoreboard demonstrates why they are unstoppable when they are playing. If you liked it, please subscribe and leave a like.